When it comes to relationships, it's really not a secret that people fight. Like there's arguments, and really it's just a different set of ideas coming together, trying to see who's better, right? Well, when it comes to relationships, if you Google it, you'll find that the number one thing that couples or people fight about in their relationship, and this is primarily marriage, inside of marriage, right? Intimate relationships. The number one thing that people fight about is sex. The second most common thing that these couples fight about is money, right? Big surprise, right? Well, why are we fighting about money? Well, I have a few ideas, a few opinions really, and it's mainly in our society or culture, we don't talk about money. We generalize our financial situation. We don't mention our salaries. Not only to, like, sometimes our family we might, but our friends don't know how much we make unless we're super close to them. Or we play the guessing game, 20 questions to get a pretty close ballpark idea. But at the end of the day, though, we're not talking about what our financial goals are, how we spend our money, how we justify spending our money, and really we all have our different priorities, and so it's just so much easier to avoid conversations about our money, how we spend our money, and it's a whole lot more fun to speculate why other people do what they do with their money. Okay, but because of that, I think when it comes to relationships, because we're already attuned to not talking about money, talking about our financial situation, talking about how we like to spend money, what we prioritize with our spending habits, right? Because we don't talk about it, it's no wonder that relationships struggle with topics of money, okay? So if you do that same Google search, and you'll find different people who've talked about or have done studies on relationships who survive a lot better than those who don't on the subject of money. And it all comes down to open communication, okay? Having a clear and open dialogue about money, not being afraid to talk about it, will definitely strengthen and limit or mitigate a lot of the arguments about money. Okay, but there's a few things we need to understand though when it comes to having these conversations, right? First of all, opposites to attract. So likely the personality of your spouse or partner, your husband or wife, whoever that person is to you, they probably have a very much opposite personality than you. Chances are. Okay, pretty high. Okay, so you need to take that into account. You need to take it into account that they might be a spender while you might be a saver. Okay, so you have different spending habits right out of the gate. And if you want to have successful conversations, you need to be patient and you need to listen to them. Because if your counterpart in this conversation doesn't feel like you're listening to them, they're going to get frustrated. And they're going to shut down, they're going to shut you out, and then the argument just keeps going. Okay, so you have to take some time to understand the personality of the person you have the conversation with and how they like to spend money, and be willing to make compromises after that. Okay, if one of you is a spender, another one of you is a saver, that's fine. Give the spender an allowance. Okay, give them their own money to spend every month that has no strings attached. They don't have to talk to you about it. They don't need to get permission from you at all. And they can just go buy whatever they want, so long as it's within the confines of that allowance. Okay, that's a pretty good compromise. You can both get an allowance. You can choose to save yours, right? Bankroll it month to month. Buy what you want. But you just need to keep that in mind and work through it. And one conversation is probably not going to solve all the problems. It might take several, but it's going to be consistent. The more you talk about money, the more that you're open about money, different goals that you have, and make sure that they're aligned. And if they're not, what can you do to meet halfway, so to speak? So it's a lot easier said than done. How do you stop fighting about money? Well, you have to talk about money. to stop fighting about it. You have to be able to understand where the other one's coming from, and they need to be able to understand where you're coming from. All right, it's not a one-sided; it's a two-way street when it comes to all this. Okay, you both have to be interested and dedicated to talking about money. If one of you are uncomfortable about this topic, ease into it. Okay, but you need to be open about it, because if you're not, you really start to divide, and that's when you start to see rocky roads in the relationship ahead, because you just can't agree, and it's a pressure point. I mean, as much as I hate saying it, but money does make the world go round, right? Money buys the dream house, money buys the dream vacation, money buys the dream car. Okay, money comes from the dream job. Like it's just a very integral part of life as we know it. You know, we can't do a whole lot without it. And so it's going to be there. And the more we can talk about, the more we can be on the same page with our significant others, the easier I think it becomes to weather the storms that do come, and they will come, especially when they are focused around money. So hopefully that helps. It's probably not the advice you want to hear, right? Especially if you're so deep and far down a road that you wish you hadn't gone, and it's just building tension over and over and over. You probably wish that there's just a solution to just slice through it like a hot knife and butter, just clean cut. But it's probably not the case, and I'm sorry to say that, but you can work through it. You have to start somewhere, okay? And if this is a hard conversation for you to have, keep at it, keep trying, keep easing into it. All right, you don't have to be perfect at it the first time around. You don't have to have all the answers right away, but just keep working at it, and it will pay off. Right? So just keep at it, and I hope this helps.